Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Wednesday Success Spotlight. I am Debbie Waidl, your migraine freedom expert, and I'm so happy to be joined by Sue today. Sue is a graduate of our Freedom From Migraine Method Plus program, and she's here today to inspire each and every one of you and share hope with you, share the fact that migraine freedom is possible. So welcome, Sue. Thanks for being here today.
I'm happy to be here and happy to share.
I love it. So before we get started, how about we give everybody a little bit of background of who you are, what you're about, so that they know you a little bit more before we dive into today's call.
Okay. I am 61 years old, so I am the mother of two grown children and the grandmother of two. Still working full time, very stressful, active position I have. I work in the senior living industry and senior care industry. Uh, when I joined Debbie's program, I was actually on my second cycle with migraines. I had struggled with migraines previous in my life and was able to eliminate them and thought I knew all the secrets
Hmm.
until I was hit a second time and found myself in an endless cycle of pain and struggle and life changes that come along with struggling with migraines.
Yep.
So, just trying to maintain my livelihood and stay active with my kids and grandkids and enjoy life. And I'm at a point in my life where you look forward to retirement and things like that. And I ain't got time to be sick.
No, you do not. I see you on social media. I see you out skiing, though I think our season's done, right? We're done for the
Yes. Yep. I had to get off the bicycle.
year. That's right. I remember seeing that. So you are one busy, active lady. And I think a lot of the women that we work with kind of put themselves in your, I think we can all categorize ourselves as the same, I should say. Type A, go-getters, we don't sit still, but then we have these freaking migraines to deal with, which
Mhm.
I think is why so many of us just search and search and search for anything. Sure, we want the pain gone, right? I mean, that's the obvious, but we don't want to stop living the way we're living. And Sue, you invested so much time and energy and resources into, trying to get rid of your migraines. I think that you told me it was almost $60,000 that you
Mhm.
spent to try to end
Yes.
your migraines. So what kept you going? Why did you keep opening up that wallet and how did you get over that skepticism each time to do it?
Well, you saw me at the end because it was like, Debbie, I can't do it. I can't do one more thing. What am I going to say to my husband?
Hmm.
Myself wanting to take a next step or try something is one thing, but having to share it with a husband and looking at, again, I'm 61 working towards retirement. This means working another year.
Yeah.
You look at where you're spending your money and where your resources are going. I mean, it was just endless. I had jotted a list. I did radio frequency ablation, Texas migraine clinic, physical therapy, Botox for a full year. And even though it made things worse, I was believing, I was determined. I removed my breast implants, was a huge expense. I did True Dose, which is a placement, plasma rich,
Hmm.
plasma, PRP, plasma rich, platelet rich plasma, pardon me. I did that 3 times.
Wow.
And while it made me feel better in general, I mean, it's a wonderful thing. And I believe in stem cells and all that kind of stuff. It was not connected with my migraines
Hmm.
and all kinds of stuff, gadgets, gizmos,
Yep.
supplements, diets. Uh, I did have my nerve decompression surgery scheduled. It was scheduled for this past December. And I kept that on my calendar just in case, because it was my last ditch effort if your program did not work. If I did not see an improvement, if I wasn't getting where I needed to go, I was going to go for it, even though I knew in my own research it's not a miracle cure.
Yeah.
The recovery can take up to a full year, and it's brutal for people. It's often worse. You lose your job after the surgery because you can't function.
Yeah.
And also, it's not a guaranteed long lasting result either. Uh, just all kinds of stuff. I mean, when you talk about, what prompted you to keep going, like everybody else who has migraines, we do our own research. So when I'm on Facebook, all the ads pop up. Here's your new regimen for your uh, supplements. Here's your new thing that you have to sleep with on your head. Here's your new grounding mat, which I have, and I'm waiting for a miracle with that too. I spent the money on it, so I have it plugged in. All of those things, that just keep trying, and all of a sudden you started popping up. And I thought, oh, who's this lady, right? But you caught my ear because you'd start off with a, hey, is this you? It's like, yeah, it's me, kind of talk back at you a little bit. And then finally I got to the point where I clicked and must have clicked on something and read further or listened
Mhm.
further. And I thought, this is different. This is different. I need to learn more. So we had a conversation,
Yeah.
and that's when can I spend any more money? And we talked about it, and I thought, I'm not going to debate over this and explain one more thing to my husband. I'm going for it, and I'll act now and apologize later. And it
I
turned
do
out to be a
that
great
quite
decision.
often.
Mhm. One more
But
time, what?
yeah, but I just have to acknowledge how challenging that had to be for you. I mean, I think there's many of us that, as you mentioned before, that don't sit down and actually realize how much money you've spent over time. We actually have a podcast on this for anyone that's interested. You might not want to know, but it's really a good exercise to know if you look back and you've had migraines 20, 30, 40 years of all the things that you have spent, all the money you've spent. But the reason that I love this podcast and the worksheet we have is because it has you break it up into what did you spend on management tools and what did you spend on root cause solution? And some of the things you listed, Sue, we could kind of put in the root cause solution category, like they were part or piece to it. But a lot of them were management tools, right? You're trying to get through your day. You need to work. You want to be there with the grandkids, but that's not going to get you that retirement that you want with no migraines, right? And I think, is that kind of why when you saw me and you thought, oh my God, I got to open my wallet one more time? Did you have the feeling that this was not a management tool and it was more root cause?
Absolutely. And I'm all about root cause, and I was about that before. But the
Hmm.
most of your mainstream medical community doesn't think root cause. They think treat, 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 treat.
Yep.
And I'm all about root cause. And I know inflammation is the root of all evil. But
Mhm.
how do I manage my inflammation? There are some easy things that we all kind of know and read about, but how do I
Yep.
customize that for myself to make it work for me, whether it's migraines I'm trying to fix or lupus or anything else that tends to be autoimmune or things that if we had our inflammation under control. And I think, what you're offering is a big piece of that is how do you manage that for yourself? You talk about your threshold and your bucket. That's managing inflammation and all things tied.
Absolutely. And the key is, and I was just talking with another lady this afternoon about that, even though we all want our migraine pain gone, we want it gone in the moment. What I always try to keep my big picture focus on is, okay, if I can't help Sue, if Sue doesn't believe that I can help her and Sue goes on her merry way, well, what's going to happen 10 years from now? If the inflammation isn't gone, what else are you adding to your plate? And that's where my concern lies. It's very hard for maybe you and many other women to think about that, because we don't have that crystal ball. But I know just from working with women, when we band-aid inflammation, when we try to band-aid pain, the inflammation is there and it's growing and growing and growing. And
Mm-hmm.
so you're too active to have anything else happen to you. You need your health to go skiing with is it your grandson? Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And plus, who wants to worry about those things in the future? Cancer, heart disease, autoimmunity, dementia, Alzheimer's, and those are all at the root of chronic illness. So, fortunately, you took the leap, you joined. Do you want to share with everybody how you're feeling now in comparison to before?
Oh my gosh. Well, when I hopped on with you, I hopped on early to make sure we didn't have any technical challenges. And you asked how I was, and I said, I'm sitting here with the sunshine coming in the window without sunglasses or pain.
Yeah.
Right, the sunshine beaming through the window. I feel great. I shared with you last time we talked kind of preparation for this, that I am migraine free. I consider myself to be migraine free. I've had a couple of headaches over the past couple of weeks because I'm tweaking with my diet a little bit more. I've
Hmm.
found some things that I'm sensitive to, and I'm kind of exploring and seeing as I'm working with my wonderful bucket, how much can I tolerate? What can I do? What foods am I safe with? And then how do I reintroduce some of those foods as I make myself well? So if
Hmm.
I find myself getting a headache, I can identify exactly what caused it. And that's a miracle to me, where before it was literally a crapshoot. Who
Yeah.
knew what it was? Even though I watched what I ate, it wasn't so honed in that I could really identify or pinpoint the culprit. And now I know, but I consider myself migraine free. When I've gotten a couple of those headaches, I kind of expected it because I knew
Yep.
I suspected what the culprit was. And it's like, whoops, we won't be doing that again.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
migraine freedom doesn't necessarily mean you never have head pain again in your life. I mean, let's face it, people that don't have migraines get head pain, right? The goal is if you do have it, to know why, to know why it showed up, to know what you can do to make it not happen again. And as you said, you're playing a little, you're trying to add some things back in. For me, I knew as soon as I found my migraine freedom and was there for a decent amount of time, I really wanted my wine and chocolate back. I really did. That's my thing. For you, it might be a totally different food that you're trying to add back in, right? Or a totally different thing. And I think that's important to remember. So we're all different. And it doesn't really matter what it is. It's just, it's great that you have that ability to do that and that you feel you can do that. You have the comfort and you don't have that fear of doing it.
I had a glass of wine last night for the first time since I can remember, and I did not get a headache. Usually I'm 2 sips in
Yeah.
and lights out, party's over. Yep, swear at yourself and
Yeah.
hopefully not have to take something. But yeah, I wouldn't go there, and I thought I'm going to test this because I knew I'd been so careful with everything else that it would be very easy to identify. And I had a glass of wine. I probably won't do it again for a while, but I
Mhm.
did it and I got away with it. That's why I said, oh, I'm getting away with it.
But you're not getting away with it. You are
I,
incorporating it back into your world
yes,
and realizing it's possible. But I love that you said you're not going to do it today, right? Because we have that threshold. We have
right.
that bucket, and it's like, okay, we know that there is a limit of things that we can push. Plus, let's face it, it doesn't matter if you have migraines or not. We shouldn't be drinking wine every day. We shouldn't be not exercising every day. It's living in a way that's healthy, which I think is important for everyone to realize that this program is really about living in a healthy way. So let's kind of dive into the program a little because I know that's what everybody wants to hear about, right? They want to know, all right, Sue, what did you do? Like seriously, you did it all. You did all the stuff. And I'm sure that some of the treatments that you did before, caused issues for you, and here you join a program. So without going into the, 6 months you were in the program, how was this different? And what did you do that really you think helped?
Well, you figured out some key things and you put it in a manageable format. The thing that I knew was different is I'm controlling this. You
Hmm.
put your clients or whatever you refer to as your members in the driver's seat. You give us all the tools. It's up to us what we're going to do with them.
Hmm.
So to take those modules step by step. And
Hmm.
whenever anybody, including myself, would get ahead, you're like, "Whoa, back up, go back and focus what you got to focus on." But I want it all right now because if this is the key, let's do it.
Yeah.
But it's huge. When we look at the undertaking, now that I feel better and I've made it through the program, it's a tremendous amount of work. So, but to take each segment and work it, and then just keep building on it, the building blocks, it's all of those pieces in synergy together that really produce the results and allow us the time and the ability to analyze what's working for us. And that takes a while. When you're new in the program and you're thinking, I'm doing this. I don't know what's working. I don't know what's not working. And we can hear it in each other in the calls. It's like, I don't know what I'm doing. But it's those group conversations. It's all of that together that really allow us to explore and identify and to stay the course because it's going to work and it's going to build on each other. And there will come the point where you can start to identify what's working. And all of this doesn't come easily. Oddly, the eating was the easiest part for me. I didn't expect it. I didn't even throw out all my sugar because I didn't want to upset everybody else in my family. I just somehow I knew if this is my ticket to freedom, I can stay away from it.
Yeah.
If the food I discovered bothered me, I could stay away from
Hmm.
it. But really, it's staying the course of the program and taking the time and giving yourself patience and grace because you're going to botch up, you're going to cheat,
Hmm.
you're going to have a vacation in the middle of everything and throw caution to the wind. But you get right back on the wagon, you get right back with it, and you just keep doing it and using those building blocks. That's the difference. And the self control,
Hmm.
that's the difference. You're not taking a pill and waiting for something to happen. You're not undergoing a procedure. I always point to the neck and the head because that's where it all fixates. And as you learn to recognize what you're talking about in the program, prodrome, is it prodome or prodromes? I'm probably
Rome. Prodrome.
prodrome. Learning to recognize that. Before I thought it was all just a part of the headache. And then to recognize that, oh my gosh, it's coming up through my neck first.
Yeah.
Turns out my neck isn't necessarily the problem, but that's where the warning shots are fired for me.
Yeah.
Because I've done all the neck treatments and physical therapy. If it was my neck, that would have been cured a long time ago. But that's where the warning shots are. And to recognize that early on and address it before it becomes a full-blown mess. I used to wait for the pain to reach a certain point with the actual migraine before I would treat it, because we're stubborn, we don't cave.
Yeah.
But to learn, and again, that's all those building blocks in the program to start to recognize these things within yourself. I'm in complete control of this. You're teaching me how to recognize and treat and control all of this for myself. There's the key.
Exactly. And I think that is the key, right? I love the fact that when you answered this question, you didn't jump in and say, well, the key to the program was, I don't know, I'm just going to make some stuff up, going keto, exercising 5 hours a day, drinking 100 ounces of water, doing meditation every day, right? You didn't come out with this laundry list, because really it is about figuring out what's right for you. Yes, we have a foundational protocol. Yes, we have 6 key areas that we look at. Sure, we look at nutrition. Sure, we look at, sleep and exercise and stress and all those things. But the more important part of the actual protocol and program is meeting you where you're at when you joined, figuring out what you need to move forward, and moving forward at a pace that allows for healing, not allows for our type A, AAA personalities that want to do it last week, not now. And I think that's a big part of my coaching, by the way, is that we really do focus on slow and steady, making sure you do slow and steady when you're making changes, because otherwise, how do you know what's working?
Mm-hmm.
You have no idea what's working. Right now, I think a lot of women that are watching this, they might hit Facebook a couple times a day, scroll through and see, oh, somebody said that they're eating keto now. I'm going to try keto for 3 or 4 days. Oh, that's not working. And then they scroll through again and see, oh, somebody found this supplement. I'm going to try this supplement. Let's give it a try. Maybe neither one of those things is wrong, but we don't know if it's right for you. And you got to do the building blocks. You got to add everything together to see if it works. Because maybe you need keto and an hour of exercise and 100 ounces of water. I don't know. We don't know till we get in. I have a pretty good idea. Like Sue, when you joined, I knew you were going to need some extra time. I knew it wasn't going to be 4 months. It was going to be, I think you were with us 6 months, right? And then a little, maybe 7 months total, I think, because you did the alumni afterwards. But I knew we were going to need that time based on everything that you'd done, based on how you were feeling. Remind me, how many migraines were you getting a week when you joined?
I was at 25 to 27, 28 migraines a month. So almost every day.
Okay. And where are you now? For those of you not watching and you're listening, Sue shrugged her shoulders and said, zero.
Zero. Unless again, I'm messing, because the total freedom is relatively new to me over the past 6 to 8 weeks. So, but man, I've done a lot of messing around the last 6 and 8 weeks, pushing boundaries and pushing things. And it is freedom. It literally, to have the freedom to do that, Debbie, is just remarkable. Before that wasn't, everything was killing me. And I know when women are joining the program, when you're suffering from migraines, and whether it's 2 a week or almost every day, or even 1 a month, it's, pardon my French, it's hell.
Yeah.
And you think you can't go another day, and waiting 4 to 5 to 6 to 8 months for some relief seems like an eternity. And you told me in the beginning, you might not be, I was doing some things right. So you thought either you're going to be a quick fix or we're going to need that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh my God, if I have to wait 6 or 7 months for relief, I'm going to die. But I was waiting for that golden nugget at the end, which was my nerve decompression surgery.
Yes.
And you kept saying, do you still have that appointment? I said, I'm not canceling it yet, because I need light at the end of the tunnel. If this doesn't work and I canceled it, I will never forgive myself. My big reward, my big treat is going to be picking up the phone and calling the clinic and canceling that surgery. That was going to be my bell ringing.
Yeah.
And I thought, I can't wait to do that. But to give yourself that time, now I look back, and I just started with you, I think it was probably mid or the end of August.
Mm-hmm.
And by February, March, I'm starting to see that really significant change. I saw smaller changes throughout, but then I have a backslide and thought, oh, what is it? What is it? And then you work on that identification piece and looking at all of your components. But when I finally hit that point, I thought, 6 months, that's a drop in the bucket compared to spending the rest of my life with migraines.
Yeah.
It's nothing. And again, I was a part of a group where it's probably, I think it ties into another question you're going to ask me, but being a part of a community, being a part of the coaching calls, getting on the calls live where you can interact and again, be a part of that community, because then you're going to find yourself messaging other members separately or discovering things on the calls. They're just different when you're on them live versus listening to them later. I work, so I've tried to get to the majority of them live. But 6 months, 8 months is a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
Stay the course because you're going to get there. You can either give up and never get relief, or 4, 5, 7, 8 months later, be there and have your reward. If you quit, you're never going to get anywhere. You'll never have that lasting result.
No, that's right. And so many people have actually said to me, "Oh my gosh, is it really? Like I might not see results for 4 months. I don't want to do that. That is way too long." And then when we get to the end of their time with us, they're like, "Wait a minute, it's way too fast. Like I can't believe it's already done. I can't believe that 4 months has gone by." And as you said, if we don't take action, another 4 months is going to go by, and another 4 months, and another 4 months. So at some point in time, we have to make that decision. We're not going to live this way anymore. We're just not going to do it, and for you to be able to make, and I know so many other women are doing the same. So please let me know, other ladies, if you're doing the same or have done the same, but for you to over and over and over again, to keep trying and to keep racking up that bill and to keep having that faith. I just want you to know how huge that is. What an amazing gift to yourself to take that last leap of faith. Because I know it wasn't easy. I remember that phone call with you. I can actually see where you're sitting. I can see the look on your face and you telling me like, all right, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. And you kept saying, but I have my surgery scheduled. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that's fine. That's fine. Keep your security blanket. You're not going to need it. And I'm sure I said it to you just like that a couple times. That's fine. Yes. But you're not going to need it. And it's okay. But I don't blame you. I mean, I kept Imitrex in my closet, I think, for a full year after my last migraine. And, I never touched it. I didn't need to, but it was my little security blanket. But the day I threw that away, it was one of the most freeing days of my life because I knew I would never need it again. Never need it again. So how does it feel to not have to search for any more solutions?
It's what you're teaching people and what you're giving people. I always hate the word cured because anything can always resurface. I cycled through the migraine thing twice. Now I don't think I will again. And if I do, I have the tools to fix it and explore. But this is a cure. This is correcting it. This is root cause. This is the difference. And there's no feeling like controlling something yourself. I'm not dependent on anything or anybody to get rid of these for me. I'm not awaiting a miracle. I'm not looking for another expense. This is saving me money at this point. I mean, I bought one bottle of Excedrin, and we buy the jumbo. Gosh, I can't remember the last time I bought the bottle. There's still some in it. I'm sure it's my Excedrin was always my go-to. It worked better than any prescription. Yep. But I had myself in that rut of the rebound headaches.
Yes.
Using it like that. And I knew that was a part of the problem, right? Yes. But it's still, so now when I have a headache and I think it's going to take the turn, I still take 2 Excedrin, but that's, again, me messing with the program because I have cured myself. I have fixed myself to the point where I'm not living in that vicious dependency, dependent on somebody or something to make me feel better. I just, all these gadgets that I still get the advertisements for, and I have a lot of them, but I think about, they're all just like, oh, put on this cap for 20 minutes. Well, we all love our ice hat, right? When we're in crisis. Yeah. I want to burn it. I was going to use a really bad word. I want to burn that fricker. I'll say fricker to honor my mother, but I want to burn that thing at this point, melt it in a pot. I don't ever intend to use it again. I have it in my freezer just in case, like you with your Imitrex, but I have no intention of putting that on my head ever again. Yeah. Those fix-its are all done. I revamped my whole, if you'll remember when I started, I had a whole host of supplements I was taking, and I'm afraid to part with them. The Migra Leaf, the magnesium, and of course I'm still using magnesium, but what's important to me and what's not. We stripped that all down, and I added back things like, of course, magnesium and things that are truly helpful. But I don't need an arsenal of that stuff. It wasn't making a difference anyway, but I was afraid it could be so much worse if I didn't, or it's going to have a rebound effect. Yeah. It's about controlling it, Debbie. It's about controlling it myself.
Absolutely. And if you're not if you are chronically inflamed, if anybody's listening to this and you know you have migraines, of course you're chronically inflamed, you're taking all these supplements. Half of those supplements are not even doing you any good because your body is not able to absorb those nutrients right now because your body's too busy trying to knock that chronic inflammation down. So your doctor or whomever, alternative people might be just piling all these supplements on. But if you're not working on the root cause at the same time, you're basically just flushing money down the drain. And I'm not anti-supplement. Sue knows that. There are some things that some people will need for life. There are some things that are great to have. Like if you live in New York, we need vitamin D. I get no sunshine where I am, right? But you have to look at each person. There isn't this magical migraine supplement list that everyone needs to take because again, we're all individual. And I love the fact now, Sue, that you know what you need, you take what you need, but you also know that life changes. So 6 months from now, if you're like, I might need that a little bit, I might need a little support there, you can do it short term, fix that area, and then stop again because you have those tools and know how to do that. You have that flexibility, which is amazing. All right. I want to make sure that we're not on forever because Sue, I could really talk to you for a million years. We could go on forever and ever.
As I say, I can go on for days too, especially, I told Debbie, through the process, it's like, do you want to do a testimonial? Do you want to talk about this? It's like, I need to be at a certain point and then I'll never shut up. Because, I want to experience that success and be able to really sing it from the rooftop. And you had mentioned something in the previous question about, what makes it different. And I talked about that whole waiting piece and waiting through the process for the success to happen and the improvements to start. There are people in your group that say things and do things that resonate. And one of your members that really, and she works for you now, but Barbie, our journeys are so very different. All of us are, and I mentioned to you, we all have a common thread. Everything is very, very different for all of us. But with these migraines, we all have a common thread. We all have some common denominators. Barbie's journey was very different than mine. But when she talks about it, it took up to a full year. Talk about a believer. And now there she is, crusading with you and spreading this wonderful word. There's something people will, you have to look for it. And you have to be open to it, but you will find a connection in this group with somebody. And she would respond to that's the other thing, using the whole group. I talked about being on the calls in person, using the Facebook group, asking questions. When you ask a question on Facebook, all of a sudden, within minutes, you get a DM box, a direct message from one of your team connecting with something. Plus, you get all the advice from people who are in the program, out of the program, graduated from the program. But you get these little golden nuggets that somebody would respond right away. And Barbie would always reply with something that I thought that just resonates with me, even though it was a very different journey. But I think it was because she had the patience to wait, and I was waiting and waiting and waiting for the magic moment where I felt truly better and felt like I really had a grip on it. And, those are things where, you can cry with people. We had a couple of people in our group where they weren't having the success. And I just think, people who are dependent on and I hate to say it because this is my soapbox, people who are dependent on their diet pop, you're killing yourself. That artificial sweetener. I mean, the first time I had migraines when I was 37 years old, I never even had a headache in my life until that point in time. I had all the symptoms of lupus and raging migraines. And I almost lost my job. And by fluke, I gave up artificial sweetener. And I didn't even realize I was having that much, but it was the low fat craze. So aspartames and everything. And I quit pop first. And I only drank one a day, 120-ounce diet Mountain Dew, the kingpin of rotten stuff, right? But that's all I was drinking. So I got rid of that. And all of a sudden I could stop my propranolol, my Maltrax or whatever the medication is you put under your tongue. All of those things, like going in for a Toradol shot in the emergency room, it all went away within 30 days, all of it. And I stayed migraine free for 13 years. That, if I have one diet pop today, I'm right back through the roof with a migraine. People need to be very aware of what they're putting in their body. And it's not that it has to be all natural, all organic. That's certainly helpful. But man, you got to read your labels and you have to understand what's killing you.
Absolutely.
And, that's a whole nother soapbox. And again, I could go on all day, but
we both could go on with that one.
It's true. Anything artificial sweetener wise is a death sentence. If it's not going to be for migraine, it's going to do something else.
We were kind of brainwashed, right? I mean, I think about the different eras that I went through. I remember, being like between 5 and 8 years old, my dad raised me. So, we ate a lot of TV dinners. But that stuff was popular back then. Shake and bake, hamburger helper. You didn't think twice about it, right? You didn't think twice about it. And then it's convenient, it's easy, it's fast. And everything in America, we do it like this, right? We have
Yep.
to be on the go. We have to do everything. The kids have got to be in every sport. You got to be busy all the time. And the busier we get, the more quick fixes we look for, which unfortunately are making us sicker. Right. Like I'm never going to give up my vacuum or my dishwasher and my washer and dryer, but the people that didn't have those 150 years ago, right? They actually had to be physical. They had to move. They weren't sitting here like this, scrolling on a phone all day long. So we have to remember that we have to be true to our bodies. We have to give our bodies what they need to do the job that they need to do. And our modern day conveniences and the way that we live life nowadays, it doesn't necessarily correlate with that, and that's where conventional medicine comes in to say, here's your quick pill, let's do a quick surgery, and all well-meaning, right? They don't want you in pain. I mean, your doctor's doing it to keep you out of pain, but we got to start with the work first. We got to start that work, which is what you did. Oh, well,
Something else too that I think is super helpful to me, and it came last for me, and I think it might be true for a lot of us with that type A personality. I've shared this with you, is the mindfulness piece. It seems self-indulgent, right? Let's meditate, let's
yeah,
reflect, let's have a quiet moment. Who's got time for that, right? That's always, it goes against my grain.
yeah.
And that piece came last for me, even though I thought I was working on it, or I was mindful of it, but just
Mhm.
not truly engaging in it. And it's still tough for me, but it's interesting. And I just encourage it for everybody, because I would find myself, I used it in different ways. I would listen to Cheryl and then think, well, I'm not going to do some of these things. I thought, oh, maybe I'll blend in yoga and that'll be good. And it's like, do what I have time for. You kept saying, don't add stress, right? Quit
Yeah,
adding more.
yeah.
Figure out how to fit this in. So it's the type of thing where if I was running late, if I was feeling stressed, driving in my car, I could wind myself up. I could feel it, the prodrome starting, the migraine starting. I could wind myself into a migraine. And I got to wind myself back out.
Yeah.
And I would just start some of that mindfulness, and I can work myself off what I would call the migraine ledge.
Hmm.
And again, it's a part of that fix. It's not just the diet. It's not just whatever. It's when you're feeling these things and that tension start, control what you can. And that's where that mindfulness really came in for me and has been just crucial throughout. Every day I use it, every day. And that's a piece I would think is hokey or self-indulgent or, yeah, who's got time for that? I can do it, because it's usually those moments when you're in a rush and you just have to stop. You got to breathe for a hot minute and get control of your world.
Well, Cheryl will be thrilled to hear it. She's actually on listening right now.
Well,
But
I'm your skeptic with mindfulness, and I'm in.
I mean, it obviously, I know it's a key piece, which is why we have a separate mindfulness coach for our program, because we really do. The majority of women that we work with are type A, type AAA personalities. We work with a lot of teachers, a lot of nurses, a lot of, doctors, a lot of people in the healthcare field or, social work field, a lot of very busy, smart women. And we look at our time like, well, I only have an extra 5 minutes today. I was kind of hoping to use that to go to the bathroom or drink some water. So when we look at that to-do list, it's like, all right, I have to eat, I have to do the laundry, I have to do this. And then what ends up at the bottom? Typically mindfulness and exercise end up at the bottom, and sleep, right? I can live on 6 hours sleep, but we know how big of a piece that is. First of all, people that have migraines are typically anxious or depressed, lots of panic attacks, lots of worry about when that next migraine is coming. And we also feel alone typically, because it's not like anyone in your family necessarily that you're living with has a migraine too. So you feel a little isolated. So I love the fact, Sue, that you mentioned the community and the support and you mentioned the Facebook group. And ladies, this is a private Facebook group, obviously, wherever we're talking with people that we're working with. So only our little group are we, like 60 to 80 people in there. But it's so nice to be able to support each other, because I think that is the key piece to it, is making sure that you do feel that support and that you do take that breath and that moment to really rewire those pain pathways, realize that you are not your migraine and that you are you and you have control. And I really think that mindfulness piece helps, whether it's yoga, whether it's meditation, whether it's deep breathing, whether it's just going outside and standing in the fresh air and the sunshine and looking up and being grateful. That's mindfulness. So I think people get this feeling that mindfulness has to be this exact thing, but we have to find within us, which is what Cheryl does a great job with. We have to find within us what the right way is to do that. All right, before we go too much longer, Sue, I want to give you one last chance to say anything that we didn't get to today, anything that you want to share to all these wonderful women that are here watching today. We've kind of hit on spending almost $60,000 to end your migraines, trying it all, to taking that leap of faith without telling your husband, taking that leap of faith to join the program. I'm sure he's thrilled now. I'm sure he's thrilled to no end now.
He is, and he would hear you, he'd hear the calls. He'd say, that lady sounds really smart. And I'm just, again, the thumbs up. It's like, yeah, this is going to work. He had total faith this was going to work. He did. He just knew it was different. I was in control. Yeah.
I love that. So what would you like to share with everyone before we end today? Anything else we didn't touch on?
Oh my gosh. I'd actually taken notes for today, but do you think I've read them? No.
That's okay. You look at your notes really quick. I'm going to talk to everyone for a second, and then I'm going to circle back to you. So what I want to make sure that everyone here knows is that there are so many different things that you can do to help and support yourself. And we do our best within the Freedom from Migraine method to make sure that there's a right way for each and every one of you. And right now you have the opportunity to actually try out the Freedom from Migraine method in a very low risk way through our Freedom from Migraine method membership. Now, this was something that wasn't even around when Sue started. Sue jumped right in, did the full program. Actually, she did our plus program. But for those of you, because I get it, you spend $50,000, $60,000, it's tough to think about spending some more money. So we've now taken the Freedom from Migraine Method program and turned it into a monthly membership. So you can jump in, you can try 1 month, and if after a month you think that I am this crazy person and you're not like Sue's husband that thinks I'm smart, you can take off, you can go. But I can tell you, you're not going to want to. You're going to want to stick around. You are going to feel that community. You are going to get your questions answered, and you're going to start learning how to implement things in ways that you've never heard of before. So if any of you are interested to get more information, zero obligation, just send the word membership. Sorry, losing my words here. Just send the word membership to me, whether that be through DM or email, and one of my team will get you more info so you can take a peek, and maybe we'll even have a coupon code for you to get a little more money off. Because at the end of the day, I want the 1 in 3 women that are suffering with migraines to find relief. There is zero reason why 1 in 3 women need to have migraines. There is not. So if we can do anything to chip that number away to get it closer to zero, that is my company's mission. And that is why we've created this membership, to help you be able to move forward to your migraine freedom. All right, back to you, Sue. What would you like to share?
Oh gosh, I think we covered a lot of stuff. Really just, Debbie and her team have mastered the craft. They really are super supportive. They're there for you when you join the program. It's not something where it's one and done or they disappear on you. Again, you post a question or you post a comment, even just, she's talking about the private Facebook group. I'm really struggling today. All of a sudden the DM pops up. It's like, what are you struggling with? And I mean, it's just, when you're in this with your family and you have your migraines, you have to carry on because you already feel like you're ruining everybody else's life too. Nobody can go to the whatever. Nobody's going to the zoo, or you're canceling this, or people were coming over and now you're just trying to muddle through. When you're living with the migraine, again, we're all the type of personality where we're going to carry on. We're not going to cave to it. And that's why we're out here looking for that real solution. This is really, again, when I say you're putting yourself in the driver's seat and controlling your own destiny with this, you really are. You're the master of your destiny, how far you want to take this and what you want to do with it. Do you want to settle for 2 or 3 migraines a month?
Mm-hmm.
I was down to 1 or 2 a week, and I thought maybe this is it for me. But I stayed with it, and I just kept working and working and working, and will continue. This is a lifestyle. Mm-hmm. This is a lifestyle where you're making the changes, and for me, it's going to be forever. But as those continued improvements came, or I had the ability to recognize more and more as the migraines became less and the intensity became less. it's about me being in the driver's seat. And, yeah, I paid for your class, but what an incredible gift, because this is going to last me my lifetime. And it's stay the course, ladies. Don't give up. When you join for a month, don't think this is too much. This is too overwhelming. It's not. If I can do it, anybody can. And I'm busy and I don't have time. And, I don't want to be eating different than my husband. And I don't want to, come from a family where I call us a long line of drinkers and party people. To modify all of that, I just decided this is my shop. I'm going to do it. And I have, and I can go back. I can still enjoy a cocktail now and then. I went months, years without really, maybe a drink or two here and there along the way. But I've had a few cocktails recently. I'm not pushing it. I'm not doing it every day. I'm not doing it as often as my sister might like me to. But I'm back because I'm managing those things, and I've been able to reintroduce some things and function. This puts you in the driver's seat. You're in control of the whole thing. If I wind up with a headache tomorrow, I know exactly why I have it.
Yeah.
Parmesan cheese. I can't have it.
Mm-hmm.
Avocados, Debbie. They're a guilty party for me. I was living on avocados.
Yeah.
But I was able to identify that because I was managing what I was eating. Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I love how you said avocados. Yeah. Oh, me too. Me too.
Now that I know they make me sick, I won't go near them. Again, it's like the sugar. I was able to stay. Once I knew it was a part of my problem, I'm out.
And that's the key, is that for you, right? And there's probably 40 other people that I'm working with right now that avocados are going to be a wonderful addition to their diet. And that is perfectly right, and for you to never touch one again is absolutely perfectly right, but that's the key, is you have to learn what's right for you. And I think that's where Dr. Google fails us. That's where conventional medicine fails us. Because you can't go to Google and type in, can you give me, Sue, the best way for me to end my migraines?
Right.
Because it's going to spit out exactly what it spits out for everybody else. So here you go, Sue. Here's your personalized. Well, it's not personalized, right? But the key is we try not to personalize anything for you. We try to teach you how to personalize, so that if you do run into a little bump, you do run into a little issue, you know how to do it yourself. We give you that foundational work and then you do it.
Yes. And I'm planning on enjoying an avocado again. So I've got to manage my bucket, my threshold, and figure out where it fits in. Clearly I can't eat one or two a day. and this with it. It's the moderation piece and figuring out the balance. And that's the fun part now. I'm figuring out the balance.
Yeah.
I am migraine free. Your biggest skeptic. I'm migraine free.
I know. I'm so happy. I just sit here so happy. And I am going to go try to find that recording of you and me when you first started. I want to get that little clip out of there. There was one look you gave me, and it wasn't a nasty look, but it was kind of like, are you sure? Are you really sure? Are you really sure this is the thing? And it's a look I get all the time, right? It's a look I get all the time, which is understandable. It's totally understandable because of what we're led to believe. But you are here today. You got to share your story. And now I know this has given hope to so many other people. Because like Sue said, if she can do it, you all can do it. You can.
Yes. Yeah. If I can do it, I'm a skeptic. I'm stubborn. There are things I've never been on a diet in my life because I don't like diets. I want to eat what I want to eat. Mm-hmm. I've always eaten relatively healthy. But again, this is just about getting to the result, getting to the end result. And you'll find yourself willing to do it. It's some tweaking, some self-reflection, arguing with yourself a little bit, slapping your hand when you're reaching for something you're not supposed to have, or going for it and realizing that you're going to have to pay for it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's there.
Yeah, it is. And you can see type A personality. Sue's ready to get back to work.
My husband looking for dinner.
There you go. Well, still some sort of work, right? But for house instead of for work. But Sue, thank you so much. I can't thank you enough for taking your time out of your busy schedule to share hope with everyone. And please don't be a stranger. Let us know how you're doing. I can't wait to see the summer bike rides. And I can wait to see the skiing in the fall, though, because I'd like to enjoy summer for a while. But this winter, I'll look forward to seeing you skiing with your grandson again.
Me too, Debbie. Me too. And if you've got people who, want to ask questions, I'm available. Feel free to give people my contact information because, again, if I believe in something and I was a skeptic and I'm here, and it's my new religion.
I love that. And Sue really means it, everyone, because she told me during the program, when this happens, I'm going to shout it from the rooftops. And here you are today doing just that. So
Yeah,
we are all so appreciative. You have an amazing day. Have an amazing migraine-free week. And we will see you around Facebook.
sounds great.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thanks, Sue. Take care. Thanks, everyone, for being here today. We'll see you in the group. Bye-bye.